Hello everyone and welcome back to A Couple Books. Today we're going to be copying fellow booktubers on this thing that I've been seeing lately. So, hope you guys enjoy. Today we're going to be doing something a little fun. I've been seeing other booktubers do it and I'm going to jump on board because I think it sounds like a super fun thing to do. And that's why we're here, isn't it? So today I will be taking one book and recommending a book I think you should read if you enjoyed this book. This is going to be, I think, 9 different recommendations, like twins, if that makes sense, but I'm not going to limit myself to 1-to-1. There might be like a 1-to-2 as well in here. So with that, let's get started with our first one. So if you guys are a fan of The Furies of Caldron by Jim Butcher, which is a Pokemon Roman military-esque fantasy series, then I think that this is going to sound odd. You might also enjoy the Assassins Apprentice by Robin Hobb. The reason I'm going to recommend these two is because you both have a similar mindset character in terms of age. You also have very different worlds, but you also have similar, like, the royal question plot going on in here, which is part of the reason I liked it. I did enjoy the whole idea behind the young characters in both of these books. I feel like their viewpoints are different for sure. The worlds are very different for sure, but I feel like some of the character tones you might enjoy if you're looking into both of these, especially if you're taking the entire series into consideration. I've only read the first book in the series so far, but I would think that there are some similarities that one might enjoy. I might be wrong. You're definitely wrong. But I also might be right. Probably not. So, that is my first one. My next one is going to be, if you liked A Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, then you might also enjoy Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Now, the reason I'm going to recommend these two is because I feel like if you are a huge fan of the revenge storyline that goes on in both of these, then you might have an inkling to cross genres from sci-fi into hard fantasy or hard fantasy into sci-fi, because yes, they are distinct genres, but I do feel like the character's motivations is strongly motivated by revenge in both of these, and I feel like that might be part of the reason you enjoyed it. And if so, you might also enjoy both of these. Even though they're very different in a lot of ways, they do have that similar thread, and I think that it is one reason why I enjoyed one and also enjoyed the other one. So that's my second one. Number 3 is going to be, if you enjoyed The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, you might enjoy The Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. Why? Because it's just dark. Like, if you want darkness in your life and you like that, then here you go. This is just both epically dark tales, and I think that anyone who's into like dark fantasy, grimdark, and has not recommended both of these series to you is missing something, because these are both very dark series in my personal opinion. So I would highly recommend picking up both of these, though they are definitely like but still. Okay, so now this next one is going to be where we do a 3. If you are a fan of the Area, however you pronounce that, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. No one knows. Okay, by Michael J. Sullivan, which basically follows these like 2 guys, and they're just like epic bromance all the way, and they do different things in each of the prequel books, and then in the main book they're following like an epic storyline. I enjoyed all of it, to be honest with you guys, but I do think that there are some similarities. One book I would compare it to is going to be Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. The reason I'm throwing this one in the ring is because I feel like there is a lot of the similar like bromance situation going on, like, you know, just like bros being bros together and them like bonding, and like you see that throughout this entire series. You get a lot of these vibes in there in terms of like people who've known each other for a long time and like get each other and vibe without like, it's just like bros, you know, like bromance is all the way. I think you definitely would enjoy these books. I also would like to throw into the ring Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell, because I think that there's a similar like bromance situation going on. If you enjoyed the bromance in any of these books, I'd pick up one of the other ones, because I feel like there are definitely similarities in terms of the relationships between the main characters, and I love it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I love it. Like, you know, for the boys, as they say these days, right? Yeah, they say that, I think. Yes, Mrs. Novi, I know. The next one I'm going to recommend is if you enjoyed Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, then I think you should be picking up the Kevin Hearn series, the Iron Druid Chronicles. This is Shattered, which is way later into the series. The first book is called Hounded. These are both inspired by like gods. Like if you guys are into like mythologies and pantheons, like the Greek pantheon, Roman pantheon, Irish pantheons, then I would highly recommend picking up this book because Rick Riordan introduced me into Zeus and all those gods, and I fell in love with that idea. I fell in love with those worlds, and I think it's so much fun. And this was recommended to me as like an adult Percy Jackson, and I wholeheartedly agree. There's definitely different elements. This is definitely much more of an adult series, while Percy Jackson is much more of a young adult, middle grade series. This is definitely much more adult and has adult themes in it. But if you liked any of the Percy Jackson series, then I highly recommend picking up the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. I think it's well worth your time. And there's also a cute dog in this, which just like makes the entire world go around. Let's be honest here, people. We're here for the dogs. Okay, everyone, I'm going to cheat yet again with another 3-book suggestion. If you guys are a fan of Jim Butcher, The Dresden Files, then I think I've got 2 solid recommendations for you. The reason I'm recommending these next 2 books is because I really enjoyed in this the whole detective personality. Like Dresden, as it gets later into the book, builds more into a grand epic, but early on it's the detective noir that I really enjoyed in this series, and it really hooked me in. Of course, I still love the series very much, but I really enjoyed that like detective aspect of it. So because of that, I got a book recommendation for you, and that is going to be The Last Smile in Sunder City. This is a very different world. While we are not in modern day Chicago in this book, we are definitely in like some medieval city that's got some technological advancements borderlining on the industrial era. This does have that like detective noir feel to it, with the main character Fetch Phillips being definitely a detective character who's like out there investigating crimes that have happened to the magical community. I just read the second book in the series, and I would say that it still holds true that if you are into the whole detective part of the Dresden Files, then you're going to enjoy this. I would also recommend The Rivers of London. I was told that this is the British Dresden Files, and I would agree. We're following Peter Grant, who is a London police officer and is trying to make detective, but he ends up falling into the magical side of the police industry, and I believe that these all share detective themes, and I think any of them would be a solid hit in terms of the like solo male detective like character arc. These all 3 share that, and I think it's definitely worth picking them up. Now we're going to move into Uprooted by Naomi Novik. As you guys know Naomi Novik's one of my favorite authors, and I love Uprooted, and I love Spinning Silver even more. I love the fairy tale aspect to it, and because of that, I'm going to recommend Baron and Nightingale by Catherine Ardeen. The Baron and Nightingale and Uprooted both share those fairy tale aspects, fairy tale stories in them, and I think that they're definitely worth picking up. Both very great retellings of classical fairy tales from different parts of the world and different cultures, and I think it's definitely worth looking into them. If you have not had a chance to pick up either of these books yet, I would highly recommend both of them as well. Next, I'm going to have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. For those who don't know, Ready Player One is technically actually a lit RPG book, and so because of that, I'm going to recommend another lit RPG book, and that's going to be The Dragon's Revenge by Connor Kostick. I absolutely love this book. This definitely builds on the whole video game aspect of each other, while this one is definitely much more of a futuristic game, and The Dragon's Revenge is a medieval fantasy game. They both carry the same idea of a character going into these games and playing the games for a specific reason / goal. In this one, of course, it's for the main character to like win the game and win ownership rights of the game world. And in this one, it's to save the game from like internal doom. So definitely different motivations, but I do think that the core is very similar. We have got young characters trying to beat the game for the sake of some kind of outside force, and both of these worlds I think are fantastic, and I enjoyed both of them immensely, so I'd recommend both of these to you guys. And now it's time for my last if you like this then you'll like this recommendation list, and that is going to be if you liked the Fellowship of the Ring which is part of course of the epic trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien, then I think you would enjoy picking up Terry Brooks, especially his first trilogy. So for those who don't know, the entire Shannara universe, which is by Terry Brooks, is multiple trilogies and duologies and quartets. But the first one, which starts with the Sword of Shannara, this is the prequel, the first king of Shannara. The Sword of Shannara definitely holds very similar storylines to the Fellowship of the Ring. I would not recommend reading one right after the other because I definitely think it's going to be too similar for some people. But if you've read this a while ago and you're looking for something similar, I would highly recommend picking up The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. I think it's very similar. Then it diverges quite a bit, but I definitely think it's worth checking into, without a doubt. So this is going to be my last recommendation for that. And those are my, if you like this, then you like this. I personally was inspired because I saw Brooks's video on it, and I will tag her channel down below so that you guys can check out her channel. And I agree with all of her recommendations of the ones I've read personally, and I thought it was a great video. So I just wanted to give this one a try, and let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Did I miss any of them? Are there any that I should have included? Did you guys not agree with some of my groupings? Let me know what your thoughts are, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts down below, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future.